Welcome to Recruitment Rehab, the podcast for your recruitment confessions. Yes, we'll talk about what makes a great recruiter, a great recruitment business, and the secrets behind the success of our various guests. But we're also here to unpack why the industry has such a stellar reputation. You know, like being ranked just above traffic wardens and just below estate agents in the public's hearts. Each episode, we're going to be joined by guests from across the recruitment spectrum to share war stories, confess their past sins, and even maybe admit to being the reason that someone was sworn off recruiters forever. It's part therapy, part revelation, and entirely more honest than your average job spec. This is Recruitment Rehab. Let's get stuck in. Today's guest has spent the last 10 years laser focused on the mining industry. Starting at WRS in 2016, he built the Central and Eastern Africa mining desk from scratch, hitting top biller status and beating personal bests year after year. He then joined Globe 24, where he grew monthly billings for Europe and Africa from 10k to 50k, all in a pure BD role. In 2022, he then took the leap and launched Talent Mine International, a now global team of 4 with offices in the UK, UAE and Bolivia, placing talent across 20 plus companies and increasing revenues by 30 to 40% year on year. Matthew, welcome to Recruitment Rehab.
Thanks for having me, Adam. Feels weird calling you Adam.
I know. It feels weird calling you Matthew.
I feel like I'm in trouble off my own.
So, look, let's go back to the beginning then. Talk to us about how you got into recruitment.
I think like everyone, I think you fall into it, don't you? And I think that was definitely the case. I came out of university, wanted to, I don't think make money straight away, but I wanted to have a good standard of living, wanted to enjoy going to work, and just asked, a few people like what industries I should get into. And because I come from a footballing background, I was quite talkative and, I like to engage with people. People said get into sales, get into recruitment. So actually just went to a few different places. And I think it was my first interview that I ever had, for a recruitment job was at WRS. And, just from there, I had 3 interviews with them and, had 3 pretty good years with them, to be honest. It was a pretty smooth entry into recruitment.
So you touched on there your footballing background. Just tell us a bit about
that. Well, some would call it semi-professional, but growing up, I was at City till I was 15. Turned down a couple of YTs, didn't really want to carry on in football to that level. I probably could have done, but I just didn't see it for myself. So I went to university, did a sports science degree in coaching, carried on in sport, thinking that was my natural progression, was to stay within that field. And then, just ended up in recruitment, but had football as a side enjoyment. Yeah. And I ended up playing for some pretty decent clubs, Altrincham, Salford when they were first.
Oh yeah, you had Burn and Jono, didn't you, as your gap?
Yeah, I had Burn and Jono for a couple of months. But I was in the first year that they took over from when the 92 guys took in, and it was some experience. Going to training and asking for a ball off goals it's not your typical.
I didn't realise you were there when they were there.
Yeah, cool. I only did a year with them, and looking back, I think it was one of them where it kind of snowballed, that kind of environment really quickly, and I kind of wasn't quite ready to progress quickly enough. And I went back to my old club Ashton, where I spent most of my good years, and did really well, and ended up at Altrincham for 6 months, and then I think I finished playing football a couple of years ago when I was about 30, probably around COVID time, to be honest with you. Got a knee injury, and like everyone does. Yeah, but no, I actually did. And I couldn't get back into it. I just couldn't get back into it. It was like, it was too difficult for me, and with a family and stuff like that, it just wasn't something I carried on, but loved it. It was a nice little side win for me alongside my recruitment, kept me active, kept me engaged, and loved it.
And when you started in recruitment, were you still playing like semi-pro football at the same time?
Yeah.
How was that?
Good. I was pretty honest with WRS at the start, and said to him, this is a passion of mine. I'm not going to give it up. And if I'm going to join, then it's going to be with that in mind. So like Tuesdays, I'd maybe go at 3:00 for a long away game,
Yeah.
but just make the time up. Or
Yeah.
and I just said that to him, said like, I'm not going to shortchange you or anything like that. It's just, you know, you're going to get me, but with that side of things. And luckily they had a couple of lads that had done it before, so they were used to that. And I must have done something right in the interviews where they kind of said, yeah, we're happy to accommodate it. Yeah.
That flexibility is probably quite rare in recruitment, and I suppose we'll get into that a bit later. But obviously, as a rec to rec, you can imagine we get asked for, very often get asked for people from sporting backgrounds. If they've played sport to a high level, then, you know, a lot of these recruitment business owners think that there's transferable skills. Like, what do you think they are? Why do you think we get asked for that?
I think it's a big win if I see that on a CV, or if I'm looking to hire, I want to see someone with that competitive edge, not to the point where it's detrimental to them in terms of how they interact with like the team members, but just how they want to be successful. They want to build relationships, because that's what it's all about, team games.
Yeah. So
I think it's the transferable skills are the communication side of things, confidence, success-based, well, a success-driven mindset.
Yeah.
I think naturally, you know, not everyone's going to be good from high-level sport, but I think it's a good springboard for sure.
Yeah. And it's that like sticking at something as well, and it's a history of high performance, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's demonstrating that they've almost got to a level and they can get to that level and they can sustain something and they can commit to something.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the key things I look for in people is can they show to me that they've committed to something in the past? Like, can they show that they've committed to something to be successful?
Yeah.
And that is a really good, and that could be any sport. It's not just transferable for football. It could be, you know, it could be netball. It could be, you know, anything top level. I think it's a really good angle to look at talent for sure.
Yeah, definitely. 40% of people quit recruitment in the first year. Like, what did you do that enabled you to be successful?
Well, I love my industry straight away. I loved geography growing up. I was really interested in that side of things. So naturally, mining, which is my industry, it almost, I was drawn to it. I could go home and read about it. I think that's what people struggle with, is ingraining themselves in their niche really quickly. They can jump on calls and, you know, I hate the, you know, just wing it. You know, you got a manager saying that to you, you know, you got the wrong manager. You need to really ingrain yourself in your niche, because when you speak to these senior people, they can quickly determine whether you are pulling the wool over their eyes or you are generally interested and have knowledge. And they can understand if you're new to it 1 year in, you're not going to know everything. But if you are bringing something to the table immediately, then I think that's the biggest thing. I think the reason why people drop out is because they're not getting immediate success. And what does that come down to? I think it comes down to not ingraining themselves in their niche enough.
Right. So you think the main factor in you having the early success was your passion for the market?
Yeah, 100%. Like, and a story that I'll always remember about what I did when I first started so WS has a really strong training model like it did then. And I was lucky, I went through like a 2-week period where I would literally just learn about recruitment, the BD side, the candidate screening side, the whole kind of process. Yeah. So I got a good base there. And then I immediately, within that first month, I was told, go and build the market from scratch, go and get all the contacts, go and get all the clients and get them on a database so that you're ready to go in 4 weeks' time. Yeah. But I remember vividly, I went missing for about 4 hours, and I got back to my desk, and what I'd drawn was I don't know, A by 2 or whatever it is, by this. And it was literally a complete flow of a recruitment call. So I would know if I'm on the call and I'm new to the game, which I was, I'd have that in front of me, and I'd know where I was going. So there was no points I could ever get stuck. And if I did, I'd have something else I could go to on that sheet of paper. And what it just allowed me to do was just be really confident really quickly in speaking to people, because I'd memorized it. And my manager was like, where have you been? And I've just like, I've done this. And she looked at me like, she was like, it's quite impressive. Like, I'm happy to see that. And I kept that piece of paper really? For the whole times at WRS. And people would come and ask to see it and stuff like that. And maybe that was just me kind of overdoing it, but I just didn't want to feel underprepared.
Yeah.
Especially going into a market where you speak to these guys on 250k a year. You know, they're not dummies. They know what they're talking about. So that I just wanted to feel prepared.
So for junior people potentially listening to this who perhaps don't quite know their market that well yet, like what advice would you give them that would enable them to not get stuck if they're speaking to someone senior early on?
Well, you're not going to know anything straight away.
Yeah.
But do your research before you're going on to calls with people.
Research into what?
Into if you're speaking to a talent, for example, and you're speaking to a candidate or a talent, whatever you call it, look at their LinkedIn, understand the companies that they've worked for, maybe even look at the company's histories, what projects they were on. If you're going into a BD call, understand exactly what their last 6 months have looked like. Have they, as their price dropped, have they released a new study or a new report that's kind of their go-to piece of news? Because if you're going on there with nothing, you're just going in there saying, have you got any jobs?
Yeah.
Just doesn't quite,
no.
You're just going to get nowhere. Going in there having a keen interest in things is definitely going to get you ahead.
I think that's great advice. But I think that comes from you having a genuine drive to go above and beyond. And not everyone will do that, but ultimately that's why not everyone makes a success of the first 12 months in recruitment. So yeah, no, thank you for that. What would you say has been like the biggest light bulb moment for you in recruitment?
Probably two things. I think commission. It showed that you were doing well. And the second was not having that Sunday trepidation of going into work feeling. No one wants to get up at 6 a.m. Like my start time when I first started was 7 a.m.
In town?
In Altrincham, and I'm based in Oldham. Yeah. So it was a 45-minute, an hour drive every single morning. So I was up at 5:30, out the door for 6. But I didn't have the trepidation because I was keen to get there and keen to just fully immerse myself in mining for the period of time I was there. So they were probably the two. It showed that what I was doing was right, but also that what I was doing, I was enjoying.
Yeah.
And if you have them, don't want to go to work on tomorrow feeling, you're probably in the wrong industry. You need to find something that you're passionate about, because you're going to stick at it longer if you are.
100%. And obviously you sound like you've had quite a bit of success early on at WRS, but if you could go back and speak to a young Matthew back in the day, like what advice would you give him?
Good question. I don't think there's anything I would change. I'd probably double down a bit more, and obviously what I did at the start, I was successful relatively quickly. I think I had a really good manager at the start, which I wanted to work for. I think that's important. But yeah, I'd probably even put more in than what I was doing, and that was not to say I wasn't there an hour past where I had to be, or I would, I remember vividly going in on a bank holiday Monday. Probably think it was, I started in February, and I think it was the first bank holiday after that, which was probably May Day or something like that. I was in there just working on I think it was like a contingent HR manager role that I'd picked up.
Yeah.
And I never placed it, but I wanted to be there. I wanted to kind of just get a grip of it straight away. But I double down even more. Because that's where you're going to get success. That's probably.
You also made a point there, like you had a good manager.
Yeah.
So therefore, make sure you're working for a good manager. What do you think a good manager at that stage of your career looks like?
I think at certain points they have to be different, in terms of like the manager style.
Mm-hmm.
When I first went in, I had a manager that had been successful. You kind of wanted to emulate her, in the sense of, you know, you wanted to do well for her. You wanted to kind of impress her in the sense of, just getting results for them. As you grow through your career and you become an experienced recruiter, you know, maybe that changes in the sense of you want someone who can give you autonomy to go and deliver, and that kind of pushes you on. So I think it varies very much by stage of your career. Yeah, I think there's no set formula for the right manager, but if your manager isn't pushing you to do better in whatever way it is, then your manager's not the right person for you to grow your career. I think that's in any walk of life, like any job, any career that you're getting into. I think it's could be more important than the actual company that you work for.
Yeah. Because
a big company is not going to have the say on your immediate career, but your manager could be. So I think it's choose your manager really carefully.
Yeah.
In any walk of life, I've always, and that was in football, in mining, recruitment, and why I've walked away from companies. I think it's really important.
Yeah. You could have the best company in the world, but if your direct line manager is a bit of a knob, then it's not going to work, is it?
Exactly. You could work for Apple, but you know your manager does absolutely nothing for you and concentrates on herself. You're going to go absolutely nowhere. So I think it's super important that you have that.
Yeah, no, that's good advice. What's one mistake then that you see recruiters doing that ultimately leads to them failing?
I think they lack consistency. Good ones don't. They are laser focused on, and their day doesn't change. Like their day will change every single day. There's no 2 days that are the same because you prioritize different things, but their full week never changes. Like they will get the outputs done.
Yeah.
Bad ones don't. They make up excuses. They things get in the way. You know, I spent too much time on this. They just don't move quickly through.
Mm-hmm.
Is probably what I would say. But yeah, consistency I think is so important.
Yeah. It's, you know, there's nuances to recruitment, right? But there's certain inputs that, if done well and done consistently, will lead to you being successful, won't they?
100%. And people always talk about process. You've got to have a great process. That's absolutely fine. But it's got to be, you've got to have a fluid process where it is adaptable, that you can change on a whim. You're not just, I've got to do BD in my afternoon or in the morning. You've got to be able to adapt to your week. And bad recruiters don't do that. I think they're a bit rigid. Maybe that's a lack of awareness of the situation. And I think that's another key thing, that people don't react to opportunity quick enough. They'll miss things on calls where good recruiters don't. They see it as like, oh, they've just given me something there. That's potential for future. I've just got to nurture that and bring it through and keep on it. Bad ones, they listen to what they want to hear and not what the whole conversation can really bring.
100%. That's great advice. I want to move on to recruitment's reputation. So, look, we all know that people love to hate recruiters, right? Why do you think so many people love to hate recruiters?
See, I don't, in my industry, I don't think that's the case. In my niche anyway, in mining. I personally think it could be a UK thing.
Okay.
But naturally, I think there will be people that I've dealt with throughout my 10 years that don't have a positive feeling about how, you know, the process went with myself. And that could be not giving feedback quick enough, forgetting to give feedback. Like, you know, anyone in recruitment that says I've given feedback to every single candidate I've ever dealt with is a liar. Like it's just, they are lying.
Yeah. You
endeavor to do it, and that should be the form of how you work. But naturally, some at some point is going to slip through that. And I've got better at that. That's something that got better with as I grew throughout my career. Obviously, I went into BD for 3-4 years, so I don't really do the talent side of things. Yeah, that's probably where I would.
So, like, you think that people's negative perception of recruitment has potentially come from, like, ultimately poor service and lack of feedback over the years?
Definitely think so. I think bad recruiters will move on really quickly from role to role and not take the time to service the candidates that they've not been successful with. And, you know, some of these candidates that I've never placed have become clients of mine. And it's just because I've been able to create great relationships with them throughout the whole process. And I think you're always going to get someone that is bitter about not getting a job, and they might take it out on you. And that's absolutely fine. That, you know, you're not going to be friendly with every single person that you ever deal with. Some people naturally hold grudges, but if you consistently just provide great feedback or give honest feedback, I think's equally as important, then I think people naturally appreciate that. You know, if you endeavor to do it, then I think it goes a long way. You don't, I think you cut corners, you cut opportunities. And depending on your niche, it's a pretty small world.
Yeah.
My market is, you know, you could be speaking to someone and next minute you're talking about another candidate and you didn't know there was a connection there, but they worked together for 4 or 5 years and they've dealt with you before. You know, that's word of mouth.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to your point, in my market, I don't think there is that love to hate recruiters. But I have seen it. Obviously, I'm in the UK, so I see it all over social media and LinkedIn. I wonder if it's a UK thing. I spent a small time in UK recruitment between jobs. Didn't work out. Didn't really like it. And it felt very fast, transactional, not personable. Whereas I think mine's a lot more, you've got to really dig into them. Like I'm moving people from one country to another.
Yeah.
It's not Manchester to Manchester, for example. So I think, you know, I wonder whether different markets have different perceptions. It'd be something to definitely look into, whether IT has a bad reputation versus construction has a bad reputation. I think you probably might get a different answer from each different industry.
I mean, it's good to hear that your market doesn't have that negative perception.
I've not seen it.
Yeah,
I've not seen it.
What about your perception? What if I said to you, right, we're going on a night, we're going to the pub, we're going to meet up with 20 recruiters. What would your like initial perception of that crowd of people be?
Well, I've done it, so I know what it's going to look like. You know, it's high energy. You know, depending on the makeup of the team, it's going to be very bro kind of front foot kind of mentality, and you know, it's one that I was used to back in the day. It's not one that I'd particularly enjoy right now, but you know, we have a team where we like to go out for meals and stuff like that. You know, I took my team members to football, and I think that's so important still. But I think there's a space for everything. Yeah. If you do it the right way. And you've just got to find in your career and your space in life which kind of atmosphere you want to be involved in. You want to be in that real heavy market where you're just constantly at it all the time, or you want to take a bit more of a, you know, bit more leisurely approach to recruitment, then find different companies for each year. Yeah,
there's certainly different environments, isn't there? Like there's still those companies out there where it is, you know, they potentially hire a lot of trainees.
Yeah,
there's
the big companies.
Yeah, and lots of nights out and Wolf of Wall Street type vibes, pinstripe suits. And then look, I'm seeing more and more of it now, like more lifestyle type businesses, people who will employ people from a bit more of a mature crowd. And look, like you said, there's a place for it all. Like, I'm sure those bigger companies, whilst now we're in our 30s, we potentially wouldn't want to work for those companies anymore. Yeah. Like, that was, you know, when I was 23, 24, that's the sort of place that I'd have loved and the sort of stuff I'd wanted to have been doing outside of work. So
it's a space you're in at that time of your life.
Yeah.
And I think it's more, like I said, the big companies have that lifestyle and that outside work mentality. I think the niche small companies seem to be a bit more, natural and a bit more, a little bit less to the pump.
Yeah.
But like I said, it really comes down to what you want at that period in your life.
So what about, like, looking back over the years though, are there any kind of mistakes that you've made or things that you've done that spring to mind that may have contributed to recruitment perhaps not having a great reputation?
Possibly. I think I remember when I was really early doors, and I mean, within the first 2-3 months, I think it was, and I was still getting my head around everything and understanding the market. I think and one of the big things I do is put people in front of people, no matter what industry, no matter what, whether I'm working with them or not. I just want to put good talent in front of people, showcase that we can do it. And I did that right at the beginning of my career, and it backfired. The guy works for the company.
Right.
But I didn't
sent
know.
Him to the business that he was already working at.
Yeah, I didn't know at the time.
Right.
And the reason I made the mistake was the company had a different. So the holding company was X, but the project that he worked on was Y. Yeah. And the X was on his CV. And when we spoke about it, he gave me authority to go and say, listen, go and introduce me to a few places. And I was like, okay, no problem. We'd kind of gone through everything. But I just didn't put the project with the owner. And naturally just made that mistake. Sometimes you got to hold your hands up, and it didn't come back to me, but I knew I'd done it.
Yeah.
So I was waiting for it to come back to me, but luckily it didn't. These are the rookie mistakes you make when you're young and you're almost trying to, you want to, showcase yourself and prove yourself almost. And I was doing what I would always do, is put good people in front of people, and naturally it backfired, but luckily, not too much.
I think that's a mistake that a lot of recruiters would have made
100%.
Over the years. Yes, specking someone in or sending someone to the wrong place, and it's just, look, it's not great, but it's going to happen.
100%. Everyone's done it. I've had people that have worked for me that have done it, and there is mistakes out there that have been a lot worse than that. But I think they are rookie mistakes that you make and that could be, it's not just in recruitment, in any form of life, you make these rookie mistakes. And that was one that I definitely made. And there's probably been small ones, like I said, not giving feedback to candidates or, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But nothing where I look back and go, oh, that's cost me too much.
Yeah.
But there probably has been. I've probably forgot.
No,
tried to push it to the back of my memory.
Yeah, fair. What's one thing then that you do differently now that you're conscious of, obviously, that you didn't do when you started?
I think my process for the week has become refined over time. I was probably, when I was younger, a lot more reactive, in the sense of I'd see something, I'd get after it. And that was probably the youthful nature of me and wanting just to be on the front foot all the time. And that worked really well. And I still do that. I still see opportunities and I get after it straight away. But I'm very much of, right, let's look at it from a full week view and have I done everything in that week, which I know is going to set me up well for the next month. So have I addressed the immediate processes straight away, dealt with them, moved on? Have I looked after the team? Am I making sure they're progressing? Are we, any spare time that I've got, am I BDing heavy? Am I getting after things? Am I being on calls? I think it's, I don't have a set process, but I definitely have a an internal realization when a week's been a good week versus when it's been a bad week. I think that's something that young recruiters can really learn from quickly, is understand what works and understand it quickly so that you can refine it and really home in on it so that it just becomes second nature. Your week just flows really quickly.
And understanding then what a good week looks like and try and replicate it as often as possible.
100%. Because you can, in recruitment, you could lose days really quickly. But if you know, you've spent 20 hours on BD during that week, and I don't count time or anything. I just know when I've done BD, because I know with the calls that I've had, the conversation, what does the pipeline look like? I'll know from the end of the week on a Friday, has it been successful? And it's just about output. Like, I think the more you put in, the more you're going to get out. It's a funnel system. You put it in and it'll come out the other end. And that's why I tell my team all the time, my BD guy in Bolivia, who looks after LATAM for me, is output, mate. Loads and loads of output, quality output. Don't just shove things down throats. Do it with a reason, do it with a purpose, because they'll see if you're just doing things just to look busy, as opposed to actually putting people in front of them that makes sense. I think that's something I would say to people, is really home in on what works for you and what works for your industry.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. If you could change one thing about the recruitment industry overnight, what would it be?
Ooh, there's a lot of cowboys, isn't there?
So you tell me.
I think everyone has good intentions, but I think naturally people do take shortcuts. And you see it when you get retained roles, and people will spec roles in CVs into your clients, and I get it. Everyone's done it, and everyone's out there fighting to be successful, and I get it. But yeah, probably just cut down the competition to be nice for everyone. But it's never going to happen. It's only going to keep getting more and more as people jump into the industries that are successful. So, I don't think, like I said, I don't think recruitment's got a bad reputation, in my opinion. I think it serves a purpose. It serves, finding people, their careers, their jobs, their livelihoods, supporting their families. You are doing a good thing, essentially. But, there is a lot of people out there that do cut corners, that do make the industry look, can give it a negative perception to the outside world. But yeah, I wouldn't say there's anything particular that I would change, but you'd love a little bit less competition.
Yeah. Less competition, less cowboys.
Yeah. Exactly that. Yeah.
So I see a lot of stuff on LinkedIn, as I'm sure you do, about why people get into recruitment. And a lot of it seems to me at times that it's just like, I'm just like, you're full of shit. So like, I want to change people's lives. I want to help people. What's your thoughts on that? And why do you think people get into recruitment?
Well, you like I said, you fall into recruitment. So you like Jamie Carragher said, no one grows up wanting to be a Gary Neville, do they? It's the same for recruitment. It's exactly the same principle. But I think there's a happy medium between all the things that you've just mentioned there. Like, it is, if you're good at it, there's great money in it. If there's the byproduct, you find people potentially a great career, a great job, can change their lives in some instances. Like, I've just moved someone from across the world to a country that they've been desperate to go to for the last 5 years. They're keen to get out of the UK. So, that's a sense of, pride for me that I'm doing it for him and his family. But I think it's a combination of things that why you would get into recruitment. I think at the beginning, there's probably that money element. You want to be successful. You're probably 20 years old. You haven't got money, so you want to have it. So you see the sparkling lights of it, like earn 100K. I see that on TE all the time. And, it baffles my mind because I've never seen anyone in recruitment ever earn 100K in their first year.
Same.
But yeah, I think there's a real happy medium between all the things there that you said. I don't think there's one that dominates more than the other, but I definitely think they're if someone's just saying it, I just want to I want to change people, they are lying a little bit. Like you do probably get in it financially initially. But then as you move through your career, if money is just the driving factor for you throughout your career, you're probably going to be out of the game pretty quickly. In my opinion, I couldn't carry on my job for money just purely. Like, it's a lovely byproduct.
Yeah.
But if I wasn't enjoying speaking to people, just generally enjoying my industry, I don't think money would be enough to keep me in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, fair enough.
I might be wrong.
Yeah. No,
if I ever fall out with love with mining and it's just money keeping me there, I'll let you know.
Yeah. No, it makes sense what you're saying. I think it is a combination of them all. And like, some things are nice byproducts and maybe not, your biggest driver. And but everyone's different, aren't they? Right. So
yeah, 100%.
What advice would you give to someone then about how to choose a recruiter to work with?
Are we talking about a junior going in, or are we talking about a recruiter that's experienced? Or
I suppose it's, why would you say it would differ for the two?
100%. 100%. If you are going into recruitment, pick your manager.
What I mean is, if you're a job seeker, using a recruiter,
okay,
what advice would you give that job seeker in terms of how to choose a recruiter to work with? Are
they genuinely passionate about what they do? Do they talk about their client with, if it's a candidate choosing to work with you, or even a client choosing to work with you, do they generally have interest in the service that they're providing, or are they just saying it because it's there on a piece of paper and that's what they've got to do for their job? Because the people that are generally interested in providing a good service and will get things done quicker and more efficient and will do it well.
Yeah.
And you're going to get better results than people that are just, they're just doing it because it's their job. So that's something I feel like I conveyed to my clients when I pitch to work with them is my energy, my enthusiasm for mining. And hopefully that resonates with them.
Yeah.
Not every time it's going to, some people are going to offer less fees. They might have more experience in a certain area than I do, and that's absolutely fine. I think, when you are looking to be chosen by a client, you've got to go in there with real passion for what you're doing, because they'll see straight through it.
Yeah.
100%.
I think obviously, so when you talked about there, the passion for what you do, I think that's great for getting buy-in from a client.
Yeah.
In terms of a candidate choosing a recruiter to work with. Yeah. I think what you said is a great point. Like, how confidently and passionately do they talk about the clients that they're working with?
Do they know the client?
Exactly, yeah.
Can they tell you every single thing? And you're never going to know everything about your client, because the client might not give you that information, or, there's certain things that a candidate will just, they'll have one thing in their head that they need to know and you just don't know it. And that's fine. But be honest with them, say, I don't know, let me get that information for you. But genuinely know your client, and then that's all about when you initially get the role, is making sure that they know what you're about and say, listen, I need to know everything about your company, so that when I go to market, I'm going to the market in the best possible way. And naturally, if you do that, talent's going to stay around for longer because they know everything going into it. Whereas if they get to a mine site and, for example, they don't know it's 7 days a week that they're going to be working, they're going to be pretty cheesed off on Sunday when they're expecting to go to the local market and they're being dragged down the mine. And it's just knowing your client. And I think talent will know that straight away, whether you've got information. If you don't, be honest with them and say, I don't know that. Let me go back to them and find it out. I'll get back to you. Yeah,
but that knowledge is a big differentiator of your client.
Massively.
To a candidate,
massively.
100%. Few contentious topics now then. So the stuff that gets people talking on LinkedIn. What's your take on the whole hybrid versus remote versus on-site argument?
I think I know what I like, and which what does well for me, and that's working from home and having the ability to not spend 45 minutes in the car every single day and stuff like that. But I think it very much depends on the company, depends on the talent or the worker. You know, are they better with someone not being on their necks a little bit, but being around them and creating that presence where they feel like they have to work harder. They're not the type of people that I would employ. Anyone that I employ has to work from home. They're remote. I trust them, I give them trust immediately. And within, you know, you can pretty much tell within 2-3 months whether that trust is being broken, and naturally you might have to move on from them, or you know, you have to ask the questions, what, you know, why is this not working? But it comes down to the deliverables and you know, the outcomes of the work that they're putting in. But I naturally, anyone that I bring in, they do work from home, and I trust them to work from home. But my second year, I went into an office environment, and the reason I did that was because I wanted to align the team, and there was only 3 of us at the time. I wanted to just make sure that we were all singing from the same hymn sheets. They could hear how I operated. They could learn from me. So I think that goes back to what level the recruiter's at. Experienced ones, you could probably give them that hybrid style, that work from home lifestyles. But I think definitely if they're new to recruitment, they have to be hearing good people, and they have to be, especially your managers, they have to listen to them on calls. They have to understand what great looks like. And I think working from home, they just can't get that.
Yeah.
So I think it definitely comes down to what experience they have.
Yeah. So would it be fair to say that you think, obviously, you only hire experienced recruiters because you don't think hiring a trainee and them working remotely would set them up for success?
I've done both. I've hired people with experience, and I've hired people without experience, and I've had success with both, and I've had failures with both. So I don't think there's a set model that works. It comes down to the individual, I think. Naturally, I'm going to have to, anyone that I bring into TMI now is going to have to work from home until we grow and maybe have an office, like a physical office in one of these hubs that we've got.
Yeah.
And then from there, they can lean on managers, etc. What I'm looking for is people with probably 12 months experience who are maybe undervalued, or they're not quite appreciated where they are. Maybe they're at these bigger companies where they're a number and not a person. And that's where I want to bring them in. But like I said, I've had success with someone that had nothing. Lewis, who's my guy in Bolivia, he'd never done any recruitment, and now he's going to build 200 plus K in his second, third year. So
what advice would you give someone then who was considering bringing someone in on a fully remote basis?
Well, like I said, if it depends on the level of the experience that they've got. If they're the level that, you know, myself and you are, where they've been in the industry for a long time, you know, give them all the tools to be successful within your company. But you've brought them in for reasons because you've seen what they've done at another place, trust that they can deliver. And usually when they get to 8-10 years experience, you kind of want that. You want that not to be left alone, but to be, I trust you to go and deliver.
Yeah.
Go and do it. Sound, I'll go and do it. No problem. Because you want to be successful. You want to have the perks of recruitment.
Yeah.
But if you're bringing in someone remote who's a junior, which what I will have to do, it's about creating a training platform, spending the time with them, make sure that you are visible to them consistently. They can jump on a call, make sure you're available not 24/7, but you're available during your working hours. And just give them the tools and let them find their own way as well of working, and then refine it over time. But also know when something's not working to cut it quickly.
Yeah.
Not let it affect the wider team and your wider company.
Yeah, no, that's really good advice. And I think that'll be useful for a lot of people listening as well. So thank you for that. What about KPIs? Where do you stand on them?
Not a big believer in them, to be honest.
Right.
I'm not KPI driven. Personally, I never have been. The only KPI I care about is your billing. You're the number at the end of the year, the number that you're there at the end of the month. Now, naturally, I appreciate that the numbers that your output to the market needs to be there, but I don't track it. I track quality. I track how many good calls you've had. Someone could have 50 calls a week to BDs, and they'll track it. They'll go on the Vincherry and go, rang Adam at Talent, and it'll say BD call, but that BD call might actually be, "Hi Adam, do you fancy letting us work some of your jobs?" No, job done. But it'll be logged as a BD. So I want to know from Lewis, especially as my BD guy in LATAM, what calls have we had, what quality calls we've had, what's been in them, what are we taking out, and what are the actions after that, so that we know we can track them and we can move on to the next thing, knowing that we need to touch base with that guy in a month's time, or we need to touch base in 2 weeks' time. I think there is a place of KPIs if someone's not delivering, and then you can kind of show them why you're not delivering. But I think it's pretty clear pretty quickly if someone's not delivering, because it'll come down to what they're delivering and the output that you're getting from them.
So if someone's missing billing target for you, like, what else do you track other than billings?
Probably like their energy towards me a little bit.
Right.
And I had a guy that came in 10 years plus experience for us, North America, thought he'd be a great asset to us, and would be saying that he'd be doing stuff and would be delivering, said he was doing all the right things, but then wasn't. Like, there was, you could tell that he was just telling us things for the sake of it. Like, he was having these calls, but there was actually nothing from them that was tangible.
Yeah.
So I think, if you're a manager, you've got to have a really good good judge of character really quickly on people. And usually your first opinion of how they work is usually the right one, because you've seen it and adopted it over 3 to 6 months. And if they're not delivering and they're not showing anything within 6 to 12 months, they're not going to work out. It is my opinion. People hold on to people for too long. But ultimately that's just going to negatively impact your company, short term, medium term, and long term, by keeping them in. One, it shows to other people that you can get away with not billing. And two, it just sets a precedence that, effort's rewarded by keeping them in the business. So yeah, I look for, going back to your question, I look for how they interact with me. Billings obviously is important. And then you probably look at the stats. You look at what the BD calls are, who they are, and then you go, what was this BD call?
Do you track those though?
Yeah, we track them, but I don't sit on a Monday afternoon with the guys and go, right, you've made 20 BD calls, you're 50 short. Like, that's not what we do. I'll say, what are these 20 BD calls? And if that 10 of them are good, brilliant. Cause, and it could be 10 roles, for example, out of all them. And then you can track from then, you can track from there. You can probably see that the output's not there.
Yeah.
So I think it's a last resort for me, when I'm looking to narrow down on why people aren't delivering.
Yeah. No, makes sense. Final, slightly contentious one then. Like, what's your take on how LinkedIn's used these days?
I think it's a tough one. I think it's just the way that the world's going, I just think it's another, I think you're probably referring to like people taking selfies and just the way that people interact with them.
Mate, I'm just asking.
Oh, right, okay. No, I think there's definitely a place for it, to be honest. Like, and I think in certain industries, knowing your people and who you work with is great. I'm not massive on LinkedIn. Like, I try my best to 2 or 3 posts a week, try and make it relevant. I don't use ChatGPT. I try and speak how I would do. And from there, I'll make sure my spelling's good or the punctuation's good and stuff like that. So, from there, that's how I use it. But like I said, I think people are using it however they see fit. And if it's working for them, happy days for them. Like, I don't think it doesn't impact me. If it's not impacting you, who cares? Like, leave people to do what they see fits for them. And, as long as it's not impacting you, crack on.
Yeah, I like that answer. Yeah. Just to wrap up then, last couple of questions. How has success, or what success looks like, changed for you over the years?
Yeah. Initially, the success was all about me and, and probably going back to like, earning money, buying my first house, being able to, have a nice standard of living, buy what you want, whatever that would look like. Naturally, it's changed as I've got married, as I've had 2 children. Now success for me looks like providing for them, being able to not worry about life essentially, and kind of enjoy being with them whilst enjoying what I do. Like, I'm moving my family to Dubai. I've moved the business to Dubai just because I don't value UK anymore. And success to me is being able to do things like that for them, and seeing their faces. So, I think success definitely changes, throughout your career. You're definitely going to, have different motivations at different spells in your life. I'm sure you feel the same as you've kind of gone through your career. I think, that's definitely what's happened for me. Is definitely changed from being more of an internal success for me to being my immediate external success, and that's my family, living for them.
Yeah, great. Yeah. No, it's
a very soppy answer.
No, nice answer. I like it. Yeah. Final thing then, what's next for Talent Mine International? Obviously, you touched on you're moving out to Dubai next month. Yeah. Like, what does success look like for them in the next 6 months?
Yeah, good question. We're at 4 people now, and I think if I look at us from a market perspective, and I'd say we're probably, and we're a mid-table team, in if I look at it from a football angle, but I want us to become, one of the big players in the market. Naturally it's going to take, 5 to 10 years to do that, and you need to get the right people in to do so. So for me, over the next 2 to 3 years, it's growing the BD element for the team, into different areas. We've got LATAM, we've got Europe, we've got Africa, as our main 3 areas that we focus on right now. But there's great opportunities in Asia, where we do work, and we do work in North America, but it's just we haven't got a BD focused person there. Mm-hmm. So for me, I want to bring in someone that can just get after these markets and really I've tried it in North America, failed twice, and learnt my lessons really quickly from them. I tried someone who was experienced, who wasn't experienced in that North American market, and they both failed. I've got a good idea of what needs to happen now for the right person to be successful there. So that's my trajectory. I want to keep growing it. I don't want to compromise on the service that we deliver or what we do. I just want to grow it on the same scale and the same outcomes. And just, bring in good people, try and create a team that people enjoy coming to work. I feel like the people that have done well for me, and that's 4 or 5 people, they enjoy coming to work, and that's ultimately, what I want to do. But just grow, just become one of the biggest players in our market, without growing faster than, running before you can walk, essentially. I think some companies do that too quickly, and they don't, they don't put the necessary blocks in to get to that top level. They maybe skip, and then they have to go back to go forward again. I want to do things a little bit, if I grow by 1 person in the next year, happy days. If I go by 5, it's because I've brought something on that allows me to do that. So growing organically through opportunity as opposed to just, let's just grow because that's the thing to do.
Yeah.
And because I've tried that, didn't work. So let's try a different way.
Amazing. Exciting as well. Best of luck with it, mate. And
thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Pleasure.